Emeritus Tan Sri Datuk Zulkifli Abdul Razak. Please rise. Please remain standing for the national anthem, Negaraku. Thank you. Please be seated.
Selamat datang ke Universiti Islam Antarabangsa Malaysia. Anda sekarang berada di Pusat Kebudayaan UIAM. Apabila penggera kebakaran berbunyi atau arahan menyelamatkan diri dikeluarkan, sila tinggalkan bangunan ini dengan segera. Keadaan kecemasan boleh berlaku disebabkan adanya ancaman bahaya seperti kebakaran dan bencana alam. Terdapat 10 laluan keluar kecemasan di bangunan ini. Sila kenal pasti laluan kecemasan, lokasi pintu keluar dan tangga. Isyarat keluar semasa kecemasan akan menyala sepanjang masa. Lihat sekeliling anda untuk menentukan laluan keluar yang berdekatan. Semasa proses menyelamatkan diri, sila bertenang dan berjalan ke arah laluan keluar kecemasan berdekatan yang telah ditetapkan. Sekiranya anda berada di tingkat atas, kenal pasti lokasi tangga yang sedia ada. Untuk kelancaran proses menyelamatkan diri, elakkan daripada berbual dan berlari. Sebaik sahaja anda berada di luar bangunan, sila ke tempat berkumpul dan tunggu arahan selanjutnya. Terima kasih di atas perhatian anda. Mesej ini disampaikan oleh Jawatan Kuasa Keselamatan dan Kesihatan Universiti Islam Antarabangsa Malaysia. Menjaga keselamatan itu semudah ABC. Sentiasalah berhati-hati.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Praise be to Allah, the cherisher and sustainer of the worlds, and blessings be on our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family and his companions. Honorable Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Datuk Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Rector, International Islamic University, Malaysia, respected University Management Committee members, Honorable Deans, Directors, Mahalah Principals, Presidents of Union, Association and Council, senior officials, staff and students of the Gombak and Kuantan campuses, members of the media, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you to the Liqa Al Jamaie No. 2, 2019. We are grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for it is with His blessings and mercy that we have gathered here today. And with that note, let's recite Al-Fatiha for our brothers and sisters who were killed in the Christchurch mosque shooting. Let us begin the program this morning by listening to the recitation of Surah Al-An'am, ayat 95 to 99 by Ustaz Zaki Ghani from Sultan Haji Ahmad Shah Mosque.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله فالق الحب والنوى يخرج الحي من الميت ومخرج الميت من الحي ذلكم الله فأنى تؤفكون. فالق الإصباح وجعل الليل سكنا والشمس والقمر حسبانا ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم. وهو الذي جعل لكم النجوم لتهتدوا بها في ظلمات البر والبحر قد فصلنا الآيات لقوم يعلمون. وهو الذي أنشأكم من نفس واحدة فمستقر ومستودع.
'ألم تر إلى الذين أوتوا الكتاب ينادونهم من مقام بعيد سيحون على أدبارهم يخرجون من أفواههم رجزا من ريح الكير وهم يعلمون. وهو الذي جعل لكم الليل سكنا والنهار مبصرا قد فصلنا الآيات لقوم يعلمون. وهو الذي أنشأكم من نفس واحدة فمستقر ومستودع
قد فصلنا الآيات لقوم يفقهون وهو الذي أنزل من السماء ماء فأخرجنا به نبات كل شيء فأخرجنا به نبات كل شيء فأخرجنا منه خضرا نخرج منه حبا متراكبا فأخرجنا منه خضرا نخرج منه حبا متراكبا ومن النخل من طلعها قنوان دانية ومن النخل من طلعها قنوان دانية وجنات من أعناب والزيتون ورمان مشتبها وغير مستشابه انظروا إلى ثمره إذا أثمر وينعه إن في ذلكم لآيات لقوم يؤمنون صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you, Ustaz. Brothers and sisters, let us now watch a short video on the IIUM Roadmap 2019-2020. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I have the distinct pleasure to invite Honorable Rector to deliver his message.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Selamat pagi. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu syafil anbiya mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. La hawla wa la quwata illa billah. Saudara-saudari pengurusi majlis yang berbahagia, Profesor Datuk Said Arabi, rakan-rakan pengurusan dan juga warga kampus yang dikasihi, rakan-rakan media dan semua warga yang tidak ada kena-mengena dengan IUM yang mungkin berada di sini. Saya terlebih dahulu melafazkan syukur kepada Allah SWT kerana kita dapat berkumpul kali ketiga bagi saya untuk kita memikirkan tentang apa yang wajar kita lakukan bagi universiti ini. Dan sudah tentunya hari ini bagi saya adalah hari yang cukup bermakna sekali. Selepas begitu lama, hampir lebih 6 bulan, kita duduk berfikir tentang apa yang perlu dilakukan bagi universiti ini. Hari ini saya merasa amat terharu untuk membentangkan satu lagi pandangan semua. This actually are all your work that I'm presenting to you, tentang apa yang kita rasakan penting bagi kita dan bagi universiti ini dalam rangka satu lagi agenda, bukan saja membangunkan universiti, tetapi lebih penting lagi membangunkan ummah dan juga menukar perspektif tentang orang ramai kepada apa itu Islam. Oleh itu, kerja yang akan kita sempurnakan insya-Allah dalam 2 tahun ini, 2019-2020, merupakan satu titik tolak yang paling penting bagi saya dan saya rasa bagi semua rakan-rakan hadirin sekalian. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, let me first of all thank Allah SWT for giving this opportunity to meet again for the third time for me, and also to acknowledge your presence and also your contribution to the university. What I'm going to present here today basically is the work of all of you, to the discussion that we had over the last 6 months or so, that we have managed to put a kind of a roadmap, as it were, as to where we want to take this university forward, recognizing what had been given and what had been done for the university for the last 35 years. We're going to build on that strength. We're going to give some new insights and perhaps new directions, given the circumstances around it that has changed tremendously, not only within Malaysia but also worldwide. I think the incidents in Christchurch has again brought another story as to what we are facing, and I think there are other events around the world that is not well reported, where Muslims and Muslims institutions are being undermined, whether we like it or not. The most recent one was the incidences that's happening in India, where many Muslim universities are now facing an uncertain future, given the kind of policies and the kind of understanding of what Islam is all about in that particular country. And therefore it becomes our duty to speak for this group of people, because Malaysia, alhamdulillah, still have the opportunity for us to voice out what we think it is important for Islam. And for this university, certainly, that represents an international community around the world, will need to take that position and take that voice and give a rationalization of what Islam is all about, and to bring a new mindset of how we can contribute to the world today. And therefore, this particular roadmap, if I can have the first slide. Okay. And this roadmap really represents what we are doing today. If I can just walk about, I think staying here is more. This roadmap particularly tells us where we have been in the last 6 months or so. I think with my first engagement with you, August last year, where we talk about what the university needs to do, and particularly in the context of change, what change we need to bring about, and to get a consensus of what this change is all about and what it means to us, will let us to now understand where are the activities that we are going to do. First of all, we engage ourselves with actual activities around the university, cleaning up the university, meaning to say that we take responsibility over this university, particularly in the context of a garden of knowledge and virtue. We clean up the university as part of a world event, and therefore we are part of the global agenda that brings the university into the forefront. We then had a very humbling sort of experience, what we call the Humility Week, that tells us again that we need to take responsibility over the university in the most private way. In other words, cleaning our own toilets and our own, bathroom and so on and so forth. I think there is a kind of a realization that we have got a role to play, even in the most private and the smallest thing that belongs to us. If you talk about being a Khalifa, as I've mentioned many times, I think the most private place is something that we are responsible for, and if we can't do that, then I don't see how we can be a Khalifa of a university world, even in that particular context. We have demonstrated that we are able to do that, and then we went into a kind of a global interaction, presenting what the university is all about, talking about Rahmatan lil Alamin, when other people are just talking about their own enclave and the world around them. We had the guts and we had the audacity to talk about we are responsible for humanity, not only the Muslims as such. And beginning January this year, we went down to talk to everybody in the kuliah. The 17 kuliahs, we have not missed it, whether it be in Gombak, in Pago, or even in Kuantan. And the whole idea was to solicit ideas from you. What you want this university to be, what your aspirations are, what are your experience and what are your contexts. And we understand and realize that every kuliah is different, and therefore we take the recognition that this differentiation is important for the diversity of the university. And alhamdulillah, for every kuliah that I went to, we have got very warm reception. And not only that, the kind of feedback that you will give, and you will see those feedback today, are very, very exciting, very, very unique in some circumstances. And this is what the university is all about. We missed it somewhere along the line. We're going to collect all this back, and we will present to you and also to Malaysia and indeed the world when we put our website that this is what the university represents for the last 35 years and moving on. Yeah? We engaged you again last month to tell you what sort of changes we want to do and how we're going to execute those changes. Yeah? The first time we talk about changes, how we're going to execute the change, and the crux of this change is basically how do we work together. If we talk about Islamization, integration, and internationalization, I think the key word of these three I's is basically integration. How do kuliah integrate with one another? How do we integrate with other universities? And how do we integrate ourselves within the world agenda? And this is something that we are going to articulate again in this particular talk. So today we are, the 22nd of March, a blessed Friday, and alhamdulillah, with your presence today, we will share with you what is it that we want to do moving forward. I want to start with what is the basis of change. What are the building blocks that we talked about as we move forward? What are the new things that we need to consider if we have not considered it before? Primary on this, I think, is basically the falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan. Last year, the Faculty of the Kuliah of Education successfully organized a seminar on falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan, and to revisit this document that is 30 years old, 3 decades has passed and we have not even talked about it. And there are many things that I say here, the 5 wisdom that exist in the falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan that really reshapes what education is all about in Malaysia. If the jargon has always been marketability, employability, and all those market jargon, we don't find that in the falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan. The falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan talks about a balanced human person, a balanced and harmonic human person. And that is not even well articulated in the kind of teaching, in the kind of curriculum that we put, because the word balance was essentially absent in many of the things that we do. And it talks about balance in a very cohesive way. Balance about intellectual, spiritual, emotional, and also physical sense. And more importantly for me, it says it is balance based on our compassion and devotion to God. Kepercayaan dan ketaatan kepada Tuhan. And therefore there is no apologies as far as I'm concerned when we bring religion into our education. Now it becomes almost like a polemic that we have quote-unquote oversell religion in our education system. If only we understand that is part of the falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan, you will now to make sense of why religion is so essential in our education system. And certainly an Islamic university like ours will need to make this statement, right? And why this is important? Because the falsafah tells us again, through this we will achieve what it calls kesejahteraan diri, a word that can never be translated in other language because it's very much nuances within our own context. And the kesejahteraan diri will enable us then to, it says here finally, menyumbang kepada keharmonian dan juga kemakmuran keluarga, masyarakat dan negara. To me, it is a total comprehensive package. Not only it is 30 years old, but it has also a lifeline for the future. And how do I say so? Because we can relate this falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan very closely to a document that is produced by UNESCO in 1996, which is about 10 years after the falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan, that talks about what is learning. It's just not about learning to do, that you go for lectures, learning to know, right? But it also named two other things that we have not done very well, that is learning to be, to understand who we are. Before you can be a complete person, you need to understand who we are. Before we can be a balanced person, we need to understand who we are. And I think this is totally Islamic. We are encouraged to know who we are before we know even the Almighty. But at what point do we do this in our education system? Because that will then enable us to live together. And the world is such that we have to live together. There's no way that you can live in isolation in the silos anymore, and therefore we need to live together. And then the proximity between this and this is so close that at the end of the day we are talking about what? Education for the 21st century. And when we talk about 21st century education, it is not about technology. It is not about machine. It is not about robots. It is about this. How do human beings transact as they move into the future, regardless what the future looks like, provided you understand who you are and what your responsibility is to the world at large. And if you can reconceptualize this, IIUM will bring another light into what education ought to be in the 21st century. Yeah? And as we talked about that, we will not miss also what is so close to us in the context of Maqasid Syariah. When we talk about kepatuhan dan kepercayaan pada Tuhan, this will be our interpretation, what the Maqasid is all about. Because education is about the protection of faith, life, intellectual lineage, and wealth. What else do we do for education? So when people are educated and begin to destroy life, then they have missed the whole opportunity of what education is all about. When people are educated and do not use their sense intellectually, and we see this all the time during this particular discourse, what is education to us? And all this, I think, needs to be, again, put in the context of what education in IIUM is all about. So these are the three building blocks that I think we have to take into cognition as we move in making the change as far as IIUM is concerned, looking at education moving forward. But that is not all, because we also understand that the university has got its mission and vision that was established 35 years ago. And that is to be respected, and that is to be enhanced, and that is to be enriched, given the context of the larger context that we talked about, the falsafah, the UNESCO 4 pillars of learning, and certainly understanding of what the Maqasid is all about. But this needs to be reinterpreted, this needs to be redefined to a certain extent, so that it lives a life that is relevant to where it is all about. Yeah? And that relevancy, to a certain extent, now is also dictated by another huge goal that begins 2016 for the next 15 years, called the Sustainable Development Goal. And we have written an article that talks about the Sustainable Development Goal actually can be summarized into the 5 elements of the Maqasid. Yeah? Every of these objectives and every of these goals can be fitted into the 5 elements of the Maqasid. And therefore there is no incongruency, there is no contradiction. In fact, the Maqasid lift it up even higher because we talk about something that the SDG do not talk about, that is the soul of the human person. It is absent here, and maybe we can add up another 18 goals when we talk about the Maqasid in that particular context. And the goal of the SDG is basically almost the same. We talk about partnership, in other words, diversity of people living together, and understanding and working and transacting whatever they need to do. And it's all about peace, to bring peace. When you transact and you partner with people, it's not about fighting a war, but how do you then make peace with each other so that people will be safe, the planet will be safe, and prosperity will be equally distributed in an equitable way. We can use this again to uplift what education is all about in the context of education for sustainable development. All this, ladies and gentlemen, has been summarized in a book. Yeah, we have written a book, and I would like to thank Prof. Rusfa for this, Prof. Rashid, and also Sri for diligently working on this. But I'll just summarize it in the slide that I've got with you. So this will be then the building blocks. At every moment when we discuss about education in this university, we need to look at all the other dimensions that we have left out or we have not considered before, so that it becomes totally comprehensive in the context that we want it to be. Yeah? So that will be the starting point. Now, once we accept this and once we understand it, then we begin to try and understand what is this IIICE is all about. I know this is something that has been talked about, but I think we need to redefine it a little bit to make it a little bit more clearer, so that we know as we talked about it, there is a context within the larger context that I've spoken to you earlier. So I've mentioned this to you, we need to begin with the word integration. Yeah? And integration in this particular context talks about a number of things. On the knowledge base alone, we need to talk about transdisciplinarity. In other words, there is no hard and fast borders as far as education is concerned. If you are in the engineering kuliah, that's fine, but there is also the context within maybe architecture. You cannot divorce 100% engineering from architecture. Yeah? And so on and so forth. And certainly, when you talk about revealed knowledge, this needs to cut across. And therefore, the transdisciplinarity is something which is important. Knowledge, whether we like it or not, are going to a kind of a convergence. We are going back to the Tawhidic understanding of what knowledge is all about. And it's not just dominant knowledge that comes from the West, it is also the indigenous knowledge around us. And this we discover as we talk to the Orang Asli, that their knowledge is something sometimes more important than what we know as far as Orang Asli is concerned. How do you bring this? How do you integrate it into the mainstream knowledge that they also have got contribution to play? And these are the roles that we're going to do. For that, we need to talk about the culture of Iqra. In other words, the reading, the reflecting, the writing, the discourse that we're going to have. These are all part of Iqra. It's not just mere reading and recitation. Yeah? And indeed, I'm very happy to hear the recitation this morning. I think the surah that was picked was very, very relevant to me. It talks about the garden. It talks about how do we actually transact within the garden. Those are the things that I think we need to now bring in and acculturate it into the university, that everybody is about promoting this kind of a knowledge that intersect and transact with one another. For that, we need to break down the walls. For that, we need to break down the barriers. We cannot live in silos anymore. And I think this is one of the major tasks that this change is going to bring about. And finally then,
we will feel this garden of knowledge and virtue. Not just the building, not just the halls, but everything around it has also got meaning in the context of knowledge and how do you get inspired, just like the Surah An'am that we read very much earlier this morning. Okay? How do you look at this? And I was very taken aback. The ayat 99 talks about the fruit and clusters that is hanging low. Yeah? And in fact, in trying to transact this tragedy, we are looking at the low-hanging fruits. And there are plenty that we have not plucked or picked and make it part and parcel of our contribution to the society around us. We'll go through that a little bit later. Yeah? So once you get this this understanding of what integration is all about, beyond what we have understood before, but this particularly maybe in the knowledge, then we can talk about what internationalization is all about for us. Yeah? We've gone through this before, and what is important here, how IIUM creates its own benchmark. When I talked to the alumni yesterday, this was one of the key questions that was brought out. Who do we benchmark? And I think the consensus is we don't benchmark anybody. We want people to benchmark us. We create the benchmark. We create the Islamic benchmark. We write the rules. We don't follow just blindly the rules of other people's, including the ranking and whatnot. And that is internalization to us. How do we make ourselves present? By being unique, by having our own sets of values and sets of rules, and so on and so forth. That is internalization for us. And that can only happen if we begin to understand what Islamization is all about. Not just beyond theory and abstract ideas, but in action. Are we Islamized in our own action? The things that we do. And go back to the humility week that we talked about. The cleanliness around us. Are we responsible for it? Yeah? The kind of punctuality, the kind of courage that we show when we want to make a stand. This is to me part of Islamization, maybe more of action rather than just abstract thinking and theoretical knowledge. Yeah? How do you bring this about? Of course, it's a culture of amanah, because that is what we are in this particular context, that we take the role of articulating this for others in the context of Islam. The exemplary role as a Khalifa. How do you engage and be engaged with the community around us? We have earmarked Sungai Pusu and Kampung Orang Asli to be engaged with, certainly beyond Malaysia as well, but immediately we need to attend to them. We cannot be attending to the world while our backyard is not unattended, yeah? And then here we begin to create this whole idea of what balance is all about. And therefore, for me, at least for this particular discourse in the next 2 years, when we talk about the IIE, it has to connect with one another. And it is an ongoing system. As we get more Islamized, we get more integrated, we get more internationalized, we become more influential in that particular context. And eventually, if we do this, then I think we will arrive at what I call the comprehensive excellence. So bear in mind, this is how we're going to look at this when we talk about the III and the CE. Otherwise, it's quite difficult to conceptualize what excellence and comprehensive excellence is all about, because that word is too big for us to actually realize it. If we break into small pieces of this nature, maybe there's a discourse that we can talk and work on it as we go along. For that, we have gone into the strategic outcomes. And these are the six strategic outcomes. We talk about the balanced graduates, the balanced staff. These are terminologies of the Falsafah and also the Quran when we talk about Mizan. We talk about societal well-being and also values creation. How do you create values? Not just value in that particular sense. How do you institutionalize it and stabilize it so that it becomes a part and parcel of the culture of this university moving forward? How do you make it a responsible sort of an activity? particularly in the context of research and innovation. The word has changed now. When you talk about responsible research and innovation, means that you need to be in touch with the people you are working with, the people who will benefit from your research. It is no longer a research that you do alone in your room, regardless of what's happening outside. So you need to be engaged and be engaged in that particular context. And then eventually, I think we'll find our global presence and global relevance. Yeah? In all this, I think we summarize it. We want to humanize education again. As we have been inundated with technologies and machines, we need to remind ourselves human being is the priority as far as education is concerned. All the rest are just appendages and added on. We need to actually humanize it. And how do you humanize it? Like I say, we use the maqasid and also sustainable development as the thrust of moving forward in dealing with the future. We've got our own strategic map, and the strategic map is deliberately designed as a crescent to show the Islamic spirit within it. Yeah? We need to, first of all, be ready in the elements of philosophy and understanding the principle, the 6 principles that I mentioned to you. How then we can process this in our organization as such, something that we're going to talk about as we go into the details of this, and get the strategic outcome, the 6th one that we mentioned, and finally arriving at this idea of how education could be the humanizing element for education to move forward. I will not go into detail because we have gone into the details of it as we discussed about it. Now, when we talk about transdisciplinarity, the sharing of knowledge, the convergence of knowledge, how are we going to do it? For this, I think we've devised another sort of model so that we begin to conceptualize how kuliahs can work with one another, how departments can work with one another, how individuals can work with one another. For that, I think we frame up 4 very important sort of knowledge base moving forward. It may not seem so now, but moving forward is something that I think we will try to catch on with. Yeah? First, when we talk about humanizing education, it is about transformation of the individual and his or her community. That is a basis for education. If you have education and nothing changes, then that education is either irrelevant or useless. We're wasting our time. Right? So mindful that everything must cause a kind of a transformation at the individual level, better still at the social level. That is the last call as far as IIUM education is concerned. And therefore, engaging with community becomes an absolute must. Yeah? Now, to have that, we need to recognize what is going around us. Sustainable developments, as I've mentioned, is there, and we need to engage it the way we think fit, given our own perspective and our own ideas of what sustainability is all about. It is now very much contextualized in the life sciences, in our context, the garden around us, even the jungle around us. Knowledge is such now, it is inspired by the things that we see around us, and that's why the Surah An'am becomes very, very relevant this morning. Yeah? We are inspired by the things that we see. There's a new discipline now called biomimicry. Biomimicry is to get inspired from what we see around us. The insects, the trees, the plants, the fruits, the flowers, all these are inspiration that God has given us for us to learn and devise it. And how do you devise it? Basically, we need to use technology whether we understand or not. And therefore, there's a discipline called insectronics. Looking at the insect and how do you devise, make another, technological gadgets or appendages from it. And these are the areas that I think we need to look at in trying to understand what the environment is all about. Yeah? And last but not least, this whole idea of post-material studies. Science has gone into, quote unquote, the dogma that we only talk about science, things that we can feel, touch, and measure. That is no longer the truth. Yeah? Last week, I think the United Nations has just released the World Happiness Report. Happiness is not tangible. But yet, it is now one of the measures of United Nations. If you can measure happiness, you can measure consciousness, you can measure spirituality, you can measure intuition. And this is where people are dwelling now. But Muslims must get involved with this. Otherwise, people are measuring sometimes the wrong thing. The context of happiness, for example. Some people say happiness is genetically linked, and therefore begin to devise of how to make people happy in a very, very simplistic way by giving money. So these are issues that I think we need to get in touch with when we talk about the post-material science, and this is where spirituality becomes important. So for us, at least for me, these are the 4 new areas that we begin to work so that the kuliah will not be just a kuliah alone, but a kuliah that cuts across the whole spectrum of knowledge that we've got. And for that, alhamdulillah, when we see which kuliah is interested in what knowledge base, we see this at least as a first expression of interest. We're going to work a little bit more who in the kuliah are actually responsible for this and want to dedicate and involve themselves in building this new discipline moving forward. That is what we're going to do later. But already there is an indication of these cross boundaries, of this sharing of knowledge among the kuliah themselves. And I think this is probably a good sign. Yeah? And to demonstrate that, why this is important, because all these parts of this tetrahedron are interconnected with one another. Yeah? A, B, C, and D are all interconnected, and therefore the mobility of people, the mobility of knowledge, and the transdisciplinarity becomes a portion of that particular movement as such, to end up with what we call that convergence of knowledge. An example from what we have done, this probably still not the last. I was told there's many more coming. Yeah? But as of yesterday, we have seen a number of flagships. Flagships mean it is led by a kuliah, but supported by other kuliah at the same time. All right? If you look at ICOL, I've got a flagship called Peace and Justice in the Community, and these are the kuliah that wants to support it and work with it. And therefore, we have got this beginning of the transdisciplinarity coming on board. Yeah? More clearly and I think more tangibly is basically the River of Life by the kuliah of engineering. In fact, they have even started this project 2 weeks ago. They gathered together with people from different disciplines, students from different mahala, cleaning up the river. It's part and parcel of this River of Life project that is now being done by Malaysia. Yeah? One of the top 10 world-class projects that is now being undertaken by by our country. And if IIUM can be part of it, because we are in a very crucial part of it, because we control, quote unquote, the upper stream of the river of Gombak. If that cannot be clean, then the River of Life will never be a River of Life, because all the pollutants, all the toxins are still at the higher point of the river. So there are many more. I can go into this. Yeah? The electric coaster, which is again done by Kuliah of Engineering, hopefully will be launched next month, and how we turn this campus into a low-carbon campus. Not just a garden, but a low-carbon campus at the same time, again, meeting these objectives of global warming, climate change, and how do you deal with it. And there are plenty of it. Yeah? Some of this, I think, needs to be defined a little bit further, but you can see every kuliah has got a flagship of their own that other kuliah will support it. And I think this is something which is amazing moving forward. Some of this has already got interest from outside body and other funders. Yeah? There are more of them, right? Engineering, science, allied sciences, dentistry, and so on and so forth. Yeah? And there are 21 of it. When I started and mooted this, and I'm happy if we can get 10 projects. Now if we've got 22 projects, it makes me dizzy. Now, how do you deal with it, 22 projects? But that dizziness, I think, is taken away when from Hafiz said he has got 1.8 million ringgit to offer to support the flagship program. Yeah? I don't know where he got the money from, but definitely it's about 1.8 1.85 million, yeah, to be exact. We will offer this to the flagship programs on a competitive bid. If you can compete for this money, then that money belongs to you. We will set the criteria very soon. And all these other projects that we've listed, 22 of them, can bid for the projects, can bid for the funding. Yeah? And already there are expressions of interest from other companies looking at some of the projects that we've discussed with the MTDC. Just came from Hafiz yesterday and talk about we want to see 3 or 4 of these flagship programs that they want to fund. Brothers and sisters, the moment we put up what we are capable of, people will come and want to fund you. The difficulty is that when we do not show that what we are capable of doing, then people say we've got nothing to offer. Yeah? Indeed, IIUM has a lot of things to offer, only that we need to make sure that people understand what is it that we're offering. So alhamdulillah, it looks like the flagship is going to go forward. Yeah? But we hope that it will be done in a way that is very systematic and has a full impact around the community, if not around the country as such. The latest yesterday that we just found out, one of our sisters has worked on a very, very important subjects of language and also the human civilization. Yeah? Quietly, in her own silo perhaps, that she has done this. I was told that there'll be 52 documentaries that will be aired on TV very soon that talks about this lingual revolution and human civilization. All done within this university, researched by this university for other people to learn and savor it. Yeah? So, alhamdulillah, I am very, very happy that we've got something to offer. This will go on the website within the next 2 weeks so that the world can also sample what we have got to offer to them. And once it goes on the website, please make sure that it is what it is. I don't want people to go on the website, we claim this, and we are not sure whether we can deliver it. Yeah? And that's the professional part that we need to keep so that we becomes reputable in that particular context. Yeah? So as far as the flagship program is concerned, I think we are set to go. We're going to have a few more meetings, and we will then put this up as a kind of a project that the university can stand by and will support it moving forward. That project is not just the project is also now mapped against the Sustainable Development Goal. Every of these projects has got a link to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and this university has worked on all the 17 goals that the United Nations aspire for. None of these goals are missing. From 1 until 17, you see all the kuliahs are involved. Some may be a loner, yet we need to find companies on this, but certainly we have got it made in terms of mapping where the Sustainable Development Goal is and what the flagships is all about. So already we are on the international pedestal. We need to deliver this the way we have designed it to be. Yeah? And for that, you also know that we are beginning to adjust some of the structures that we need to do. And we have now renamed the Office of Research and Innovation to Responsible Research and Innovation, with that caveat that I mentioned to you. We need to work with people who are going to benefit from this research and also co-learn from them as far as that research is concerned. For that, we also have now moved student affairs, used to be known as HEPA, all over the countries. Only us, we are not HEPA. We are now Student Development and Community Engagement. Part and parcel of the duty of the students is to be engaged with the community, as much as they are forced to engage with the industry. Yeah? There's so much about talking about the industry, going to industry. We've got the CEO industry coming to lecture us. We are going to get CEO from other bodies like Mercy, Magna, and all the other things that have been working with communities to be part of our CEO, so that we can also learn the other way of dispensing knowledge to the community. Yeah? These are the group of people who have been working with me for the last 6 months or so. I would like to thank them. We have changed their scope a little bit so that they answer what we call the structure follow the strategy. The strategy is such, and therefore the structure must commensurate with the strategy, otherwise it will not work. Yeah? And the strategy is all about change. Here is a change for advancement. Here talk about change, and also we need to talk about the institutional change, the kind of structures that we're going to work on. And there are many of these now in the pipeline that we are discussing. So just to be mindful that the change not only in terms of our thinking, but also the structures of the university, indeed the meaning of the university itself over a period of time. And these are some of the alignments that the deputy rectors are doing. Is Professor Isarji will look at many other things that we have not taught before, yeah? Including the falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan. How can it be embedded as part and parcel of the change that we're going to move forward? Yeah? I will not discuss about this in detail. Deputy Rector, Student Development and Committee Engagement, Dr. Zul, talks about these many things that we have done. And I think some of the new things that wasn't mentioned here, the one thing that excite me that the student, development will also involve in what we call the indigenous sports event. Yeah? I'm told by Dr. Zul now we have got 48 indigenous sports coming around the world, and we are going to organize the first indigenous sports in this country, if not in this region. And this is recognizing again the diversity we've got. I cannot imagine what it is, 48, maybe from Nigeria, maybe from Malaysia, maybe from wherever. Yeah? And these are simple sports. These are not sports that is expensive. We talk about e-sports, you're going to cost us a bundle. The ministry is sponsoring the e-sports, fine. But we're going to sponsor the indigenous sports. And we're going to link this, inshallah, to the World Indigenous Sports. We are now making contact. They only run 10 sporting events. We have got about 48. So, inshallah, there is another thing that we will then put forward as far as living together with the different cultures and the different values. Yeah? That is for student development and community engagement. For internationalization, we're also talking about how do you now expand the boundaries of not just education within the context of what we know now, but also in context of engagement. This one is relevant very much into the Rahmatan Lil Alamin. Yeah? So we are also studying whether we need to increase the population of non-Muslim in this country, in this university. If you talk about Rahmatan Lil Alamin, do we need to do that so that they can also learn from us what Islam is all about on its practice, rather than just hearing it from medias and so on and so forth. And last but not least is certainly this research and the way it is going to work within the community. And I've mentioned here the support that they're going to extend for the flagship program in the kind of funding that we mentioned about. Yeah? So all these changes will come, and I hope you'll bear with us as we create these changes to make it more relevant to the movement of this university moving forward 2020 and hopefully beyond. If we were to put it together in the context of what we have got, this is the kind of thing that we see. Yeah? We are trying to aspire to be the regional centers of expertise for sustainable development, recognized by no less United Nations University, hopefully by the middle of next year. The submission will go out 30th of April, and we have seen the kind of feedback you gave. We have no, or at least I have no hesitation why we should not get it. This is better than your ranking, whatever ranking we are talking about, because there are no more than 200 regional centers around the world that is recognized by the United Nations University. And there's none from the Muslim world, neither there are any from the Islamic universities. If we were to get it, we will be the first. And inshallah, we will get it by the middle of next year. Yeah? And all of this then will support that. All the things that we are doing will support that particular application that we're going to have in terms of bringing in what this university is all about in the context of sustainable development, given the bigger ambit that I've mentioned to you this morning. These are the details of it, which I will not go into. Every of this has got its own details, and that is supporting one another. Yeah? This does not go alone, it is supporting one another in trying to make these regional centers a meaningful centers as such. Yeah? That's the other one. So all these 12 has got its own details, and this detail will be worked out in the next month or so, right? And for that, we have had a room now at the office of the rector. We call it a peace room, where all this information will be displayed. You're welcome to visit them so that you can understand what is going on from time to time. Last but not least, there'll be a monitoring of this. Yeah? We will monitor it from Q1, which is at the end of this month. We will see all these details to be put in place as a kind of a performance from the flagship programs in the Kulia, and then we'll go Q2, Q3, Q4, and hopefully going on to next year in the year 2020. Every Kulia will be monitored. Every SDG goals that you have promised will be monitored on a quarterly basis, right? So hopefully there is small room for error. If there is any error, we will bring it back to where it should be when we monitor them from month to month. Yeah? So ladies and gentlemen, what is left is basically in trying to understand this big picture, what we are trying to do. We are trying to humanize education. We cannot humanize education to make it to balance and harmony if we just work on these parameters as we've been told to, the 4 IR. Important as it is, we need to balance it out with the human spiritual strength. And this is the area that I think we want to develop so that we can be a little bit more conscious as a human person, not just as a worker, not just as a bureaucrat, not just an academician, but as a human person to understand what our amana and our role is moving forward. All right? And hopefully this will be then digested into another area of what education is all about, given the whole scope that I've mentioned to you earlier. What is next? Beginning from today, we will then want every kuliah, every mahala, to start cascading these roadmaps before the end of April. In other words, everybody in your organization must understand what this roadmap is all about. We will give you this book. We will give you this, presentation. And then it's up to you now to bring it to the level, to the very lowest level in your kuliah or in your mahala. The sweeper must understand this. Your driver must understand it in their own terms, in their own language, so that they feel that they are included in this movement. Yeah? So that they feel that they owned it as well. So that they are part and parcel of the larger team of IIUM in trying to make the change. All right? So we leave this to you in how to organize it. Certainly we will support you in whatever ways we can if you want to make this happen. You need to prepare and complete what we call the project details for implementation before the 1st of April. In the next 2 weeks or so, or the next 1 week or so, 10 days or so, we will give you a kind of a format to enumerate who is involved, who is responsible, and what is it that you need for this to happen after April 1 in terms of implementation. Yeah? This is something that we need to do so that we are very clear of what is it that we want to do as we move forward collectively. Then we need to start monitoring performance for June 2019 so that we can go into the next quarter and see how much achievements we have made over a period of time. And last but not least, you need to put this documentation for the peace room that I've mentioned, because we will display for every kuliah what is the performance, at what level they are from time to time. There's already now, partitions of every kuliah, the 17 kuliah in this peace room. And we want to see this happening before we even embark on it And this is what the next assignment will be from all the kuliah, and I hope we will also get the same support that we get from all of you. Now, before I end, there are a number of things I think that I want to signal to you that we are going to move as far as change is concerned. From today onwards, the word rectory do not exist in this university anymore. Yeah, for some of you, it may be a shock because you have been using this for the last 35 years. But if you just care to Google the word rectory, you'll find what the meaning is. The meaning is a house of a Christian priest. I'm not going to be that Christian priest. Yeah? So the word rectory do not reflect what this university is all about. So we have decided in our UMC to replace it with a simpler word, office of the rector. As you move into the rector's office, you'll see on the top of the window is the office of the rector. I think that's the proper word. Right? So we're going to delete the word rectory. From today onwards, if you have to use the word rectory, substitute it with the office of the rector. We've got the office of the president, we've got the office of the rector, and we've got the office of the campus director. We will just follow that simple idea so that this whole idea of what a rectory is all about can be taken out of the vocabulary of IIUM. Yeah? So that is the first signal of change, and there are many other changes that will come as we go through and understand what this is all about. The change will be implemented gradually, and I hope you will be with us in making this change happen in the next 2 years, inshallah. So on that note, I would like to stop, and there will be a next session that we will then commit everybody to this idea by signing a consensus statement. The consensus statement means that all of us are together in trying to realize this hopefully noble change moving forward, and from then on we will move as a team as far as this university is concerned. Yeah? I'd like to end by thanking all of you. Yeah? I've never felt so excited and so elated that we have now got a plan that we need to put in place for the next 2 years. Why 2 years? Because we have the urgency of doing it. If we live for 5 years, perhaps we have forgotten about it. But we want to do this in a systematically way so that in 2 years, by 2020, we will see how this university change over a period of time. Yeah? So saya berterima kasih kepada semua yang telah membantu universiti, khususnya saya yang baru di sini, tidak sampai umurnya 1 tahun pun, tetapi mendapat berbagai-bagai bantuan, sokongan dan juga alu-aluan daripada semua pihak yang membolehkan kita membuat satu perancangan untuk mara ke hadapan dalam tahun 2020. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Honorable Tan Sri, for the very important message. We will now open the floor for a 30-minute dialogue session. Anyone from Gombak would like to ask any questions?
Yes, can you please use the mic, Brother Mumtaz? And speak slowly, please.
Thank you very much, my dearest Honorable Rector, for your elaboration on this important link between Islamization of knowledge and goals of sustainable development. By the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I am here in this university for last 32 years and serving and doing my duty. It is not an emotional attachment to IOK. It is well thought of view that we appreciate goals of sustainable development. No doubt about it. We also understand very well that these goals cannot be achieved until and unless we create a strong link between Islamization of knowledge and goals of sustainable development. Honorable Rector, once I study on this issue, I refer to more than 25 books on sustainable development. Each one of the author discussed that these are all our goals but not yet achieved anything of this in their proper way. So what I feel that you must emphasize both together, and that would be the contribution of IIUM to the world. That what is the way leading, as you said, leading the way. So what is the way to lead the world? That is through the path of Islamization of knowledge. Thank you very much, Honorable Rector. Wallah alam bis sawab. Allah knows everything better than us. Thank you very much, Jazakallah.
Exactly. Our contribution to the sustainable development, not only achieving the goal, but also reinterpreting it. Yeah? Giving it new meaning and giving it the Islamic perspective that is seriously lacking. I've been involved in this for almost 20 years now. And we have managed now to coin what we call decolonizing sustainable development. The publication is published by United Nations University, no less. In other words, United Nations University is also beginning to see where the gaps are in sustainable development. But we need to move this in a very strong way, not by individuals, not by institutions, but by community. And that community will be our community, the Muslim community. So there's a lot of work to be done, because we need to understand this very well, so that we don't see this as something which is divergent from our thinking, but it's something that we need to add on and make it work. It is about a lifestyle. Sustainable development at the end of the day is about lifestyle. What lifestyle? Lifestyle that is not wasteful, lifestyle that is prudence, lifestyle that is frugal, lifestyle that is, in our context, pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore, the very simple way is that we don't waste water. We don't waste electricity. We don't waste papers. We don't waste time. These are all part of sustainable development. This, to me, is very Islamic. I think sometimes we have taken things for granted. That some, in the rector's lobby, we still cannot find one switch that switch all of the lights. I've been asking the guy, mengapa lampu ni pasang 24 jam? Switch ni tak tahu di mana, Tan Sri. You know, that's not an acceptable answer. You know? So these are the things that you need to be mindful. It is all within ourselves. If you just can go out and switch your lights, you're already living sustainability in the simplest sense of the word. Yeah? If you take your wudu and do not full blast, that's already part of sustainability. You know? And if you can use your paper depan belakang, that's already part of sustainability. If you can have a meeting and not putting on the aircon because you don't have to wear your coat today, then that's only part of sustainability. So it's so simple, it's so Islamic, but we are not doing it because we think this is divergent from. Thank you, Mumtaz, for that. You're going to have a conference in October. I hope your conference will also talk about this. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Any more questions? Or any more comments? Sila.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The presentation about the flagship programs are very interesting, but talking about the transdisciplinary context of it, I wonder if the students will have the opportunity to partake in any of the flagship program, for example, in the area on peace and justice. The kulliyas involved there, or I think it's about just 4 or 5 kulliyas there, but will the students from other kulliyas be allowed to partake in it? Or just the students from the kulliyas who are partaking?
I certainly hope so. Because this is to prepare the younger generation. When you talk about the maqasid, we talk about the lineage, and other we are talking about the future. People like me has very little to contribute. People like me perhaps mess the world for you. Yeah? Now we need now to prepare the next generation moving forward. And therefore you need to be involved in whatever we think it is important for you. Transdisciplinarity is important. And it's nothing new in IIUM. When you talk about revealed knowledge and reason, human sciences, these are transdisciplinarity, except that we don't use the word. Yeah? The word is transdisciplinarity in that particular context. But we want to move just beyond that. We want to integrate the science and the social sciences. We want to integrate the dominant language, the dominant knowledge, and the indigenous knowledge. All these, I think, needs to be converged into one, and that's meant for you. But we hope you will take this, because it's going to be more difficult to understand this as you move into transdisciplinarity, because the mindset has to be wider. So the word now is not just lifelong learning. Everybody understands lifelong learning. The new words that will come by will be life-wide learning. Life-wide learning means you not only know the depth, but you also need to know the breadth. Yeah? I'm a pharmacist, but I need to talk the language of social scientists. I need to communicate with people like Professor Said Arabi. And I need to understand where he's coming from. When I talk to the orang asli, I need to know where he's coming from. I cannot be using scientific jargon to talk with them. Yeah? So these are issues that I think will revolutionize, quote unquote, what education is all about. And certainly the students will be the main participant in this. My worry is that old generations like us are not equipped to handle this. And this is where I think we're going to work on as far as training of the new lectures coming forward. Sila.
Okay, thank you. I think the slide before mentioned that we are going to replace the ranking, right? And how do you look at the successful of these kinds of sustainable that you have mentioned before? I mean, do you think that the West will accept this? And how many percent that we're going to win to implement this kind of sustainable that you have mentioned? Thank you.
I think the answer is simple. If you read the book called Blue Ocean Strategy, which is used quite widely in Malaysia, the first statement that we miss in this book is that do not benchmark. Because he said the moment you benchmark, you can only be second best. If I were to benchmark Professor Isarji, I will never be able to overtake him. Because each time he does something, I need to follow. Each time he does something, I need to follow. Each time he does something, I need to follow. At what point do I say I am better than Professor Isarji? So that's the game that we are trapped in. And we do not know that we are trapped in that game. Some commercial houses say if you want to be a world-class university, you need to do 4 things. What are the 4 things? You need to do publication. You need to have citation. You need to have what you call public reputation. Yeah? And I don't know what's the other one. Yeah? But what does this tell us? If you do publication and citation, where is community engagement? And you are told you only can publish in few journals, top-tier journals, sponsored by what? Sponsored by another company. If you publish in different companies, you will not be counted as far as the rankers is concerned. We are trapped in a game that they devised for us, and we do not realize that. Now, if they can do it, why can't we do it? We say, as far as IUM is concerned, if you want to be a class university, you must have triple ICE. You must have community engagement. I mean, just speaking out loud. Yeah? You must understand Arabic, for example. Then you write your own rules that everybody will follow you. So the mindset must change. If you want to lead, then make sure you have the capacity to lead. You cannot be saying leading the way and then you're following somebody else. I think that something is wrong with our thinking. So we have decided, at least I have decided, we're going to move out of the ranking. We're going to create our own ranking. And I think this has also been taught by the UMC. How do we create our own ranking? How do you create our own benchmark? Remember my slides. Yeah? We're going to create our own benchmark by redefining certain things of what education is all about. If we say education is about falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan in Malaysia, just talk about Malaysia lah dulu. Yeah? If we say falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan is important in our curriculum, that is one syarat to be world class in Malaysia, then you're already leading the way. And I think 90% of the university will fall out because 90% of the university do not have falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan in their own strategic thinking. So it's up for us to think what we want. What we want is not because of our egoistic instinct, but because we want to serve the Ummah. And this is what the Ummah wants. And therefore the criteria must fit what they want rather than the other way around. Yeah? I hope that is quite clear. Yeah?
Okay,
and a lot of work to do in this particular context. Sila.
Tan Sri, we are going live in Kuantan.
Where are you?
Kuantan.
Oh, Kuantan, yes.
Yeah.
Can you just give Kuantan, otherwise Hafiz will get very upset.
All right.
Anyone from Kuantan?
Do you have questions from Kuantan?
Okay, while they're thinking about it, please go ahead.
We've got.
Oh, ada?
We've got, yeah.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
It's very valuable to hear our honorable rector our presentation about the presentation today about the SDG and what we're going to achieve. At least it guides us what we're going to do in the future. My question is quite simple. Okay, you talk about Maqasid Syariah. Okay, as far as I concerned, I understand is that is the objective of the Sharia. So my question is, how we to achieve the Maqasid Syariah without implement the Sharia? Maybe I quite straight here, all right? Maybe Prof can explain to us. Assalamualaikum.
I think we are trying to implement the Sharia. I'm not too sure whether I got it right. Yeah? An Islamic university not implementing the Sharia probably may not be the right answer. But I will leave this to the authority, the centrist people agaknya. Yeah? But this is something that I think we need to understand and develop further. From my point of view, Maqasid al-Sharia sometimes can also exist independently when we talk about the non-Muslim world. If you want to move into the non-Muslim world, you cannot institute the Sharia first before the Maqasid comes in. It will never happen. So that's a debate that I think we're going to have. I hope somebody else will take on this debate so that we understand exactly where the Maqasid is all about. I give you one simple example. Yeah? I'm part of the Malaysian Productivity Board. Malaysian Productivity Board has a problem with the word productivity. They kata, when you talk about productivity, it's about just the workplace. People who are not in the workplace do not talk about productivity. The lay people, the Malaysians, are not bothered about productivity when productivity needs to be a holistic thing. And we settled on it. And the suggestion that we have, why don't we define productivity in the context of Maqasid al-Sharia? In other words, before you go into your workplace, you must make sure your workplace protects and promotes life. In other words, in terms of safety, in other words, in terms of security. If that happens in the workplace, that is only one part of Maqasid being implemented in the workplace. You go into the workplace, you must use in your own intelligence. You cannot be just a man that put on the screw without thinking. Yeah? And what was the response of the board? The board's response, they kata, this concept is mind-boggling. And I'm quite sure not any of the workplace are Sharia-based. So we need to look at it from a different perspective. Is Sharia important first of all before Maqasid comes in? Or can Maqasid comes in a place where Sharia can be implemented later? That's a question that I think we need to debate on. Yeah? But thank you for that question from Kuantan. Yes, maybe you want to answer that question also.
Assalamualaikum, Dr. Sri.
Sila.
First of all, let me introduce myself a little bit. My name is Muhammad Huzaifah Shubli bin Yassin. I was a student here, 6 years. I did, my major is in, I don't like to say the word, it's politics comes with negative connotation. But I did political science and I did my minor in Usuluddin and comparative religion. So after that, I worked with the university, with IIM Holding at the subsidiary IIM Center for Continuing Education for 2.5 years as a admission, as a marketer and admission. Okay. Then I got married. I decided I need to do more, and then I become an agent for the university, a freelance agent, and I start my own enterprise, Shubli Education.
You married another alumni, no?
I am an alumni, yeah. I'm registered alumni. I didn't bring the letter, sorry. And my father used to work with the university for 25 years, Mr. Yassin Babu, if some of you may know. I would like to congratulate, first of all, for you coming here, for the new team. I think some good changes are coming, like, at least just assembly and all. But I would also like to point out that there are some problems, I think. First of all, of my few years here, 10 years, my observation, I think first of all, the main problem is about coordination and culture. Okay? Is that we have a problem of between the superior and subordinate, in terms of understanding, in terms of humanity, in manusiawi, It's like in some instances where we know that la yu'minu ahadukum hatta yuhibba li ahihi ma yuhibbu li nafsihi. You are not a complete believer unless you love what is for your friend, your akhi, your other person, like you love for yourself. You see, like if I will not do it to myself, then why would I ask someone else to do it? Why would you put it to someone else? Unless you are selfless, you will do it, But that's the main problem. Even when I was in the system, I can see backbiting, I can see superior who does not understand the workload, the hectic life, the stress of this living, And there's basically no love, no warmth, which is not I see in the times of my father. In my father's time, we used to bring the students who has problems to our house even, accommodate for them, and make them like a family. Make your staffs like a family, like your own children. I don't see that happening now, which worries me. Which it could be in line with our vision as humanity and Islamization. And the second problem is, you see, between the students and the staffs, the relation. It's like we are different. We are distant, especially the foreigners. It's like they don't belong here. When they had, paid a lot, and they had came all the way, hoping very high and expecting Islam, and they did not see that happening, So it's disappointing. Some of them would rather go to US than staying here. Some of them say to me, like this one guy from Dubai, he say, how would I ask my family or friends from Dubai to come here if I myself is not satisfied with the services? Okay, I can bring him personally to you. He's a quality management from Dubai. His name is Sa'adat. And there's more, but I think we should start off somewhere.
Yeah,
and I'm willing to help in any ways that I can, even for free, because I already have my own company and I'm making money on my own already. I'm doing trading, I'm doing tourism. So I'm having a class even this weekend. This Saturday I'm having a study skills class for the children of the staffs. I can do it for free even. It's just that I have a wife, I have some commitments,
Okay, thank you very much.
And inshallah we'll keep in touch, inshallah.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we've addressed this question before. Particularly, it is a human problem. What is so different in IUM? If this happened in another university that I've worked with, I can always dismiss that. It's a human problem. We'll work around it. But being an Islamic university, it's difficult to just dismiss that, because we talk about this relationship. And in my last Liqa, we talk about trust and trustworthiness. That's the bond that makes us work together. And that cuts off all the things that we've been saying. If we can trust and have trustworthiness with one another, I think most of the issues are solved. But we need to develop this. And I mentioned the last time, we got this from where? From Finland. When I was talking to the minister of the Finnish university, Finland. Yeah? By the way, the World Happiness Report, Finland is number 1. Yeah? Malaysia is now number 80. We dropped from 35 to 80. Just over 1 last year. And you know why we dropped? Exactly like what you say. There's no trust. With mistrust, we actually squandered many things that we should have done better. I think the issues are clear. The solution is also clear. I work with Professor Isaji, sorry to make him the guinea pig today. We work on the basis of trust. We stayed in the same office, his office right in front of my office. But I never take a phone and say, Isaji dah datang ke gini? Ini dah 8:30 ni. Where is he? Because I know he will work on the trust that we gave him, and the amanah that we talked about, and we sing all the time. And that's all that it is. Yesterday when we talked with the alumni, there was one question that asked about why are we doing these things in the social media? It's about trust. You want to work in the social media, fine, but where is the trust? Are we going to say something that is not palatable to other people just because you are anonymous in the social media? These are issues that I think we can settle it ourselves without even the university getting involved. Provided you understand who you are, and that's why the learning to be is so important. The complete person that we want to create and nurture within the university will have that value ingrained. The university that talks about the garden of knowledge and virtues. Where is that virtue? Yeah? So I think it is not a rocket science. I think we can agree in this hall itself that if all of us work on the basis of trust, as you walk out of this room, the problem is solved. I don't have to get OSAM to watch you and see where you go. And we're going to do many things, all based on trust. And if that trust is not there, then I'm not too sure whether we will be successful. So you start thinking whether you want to adopt this way of life, and this is an Islamic way of life. And of course, everybody else has done it. The non-Muslim has done it. The Japanese has done it. If the Japanese can do it, if the Finnish people can do it, why can't we do it? After all, we are the best ummah. And these are issues that we need to reflect on. Yeah? And I also bring the question yesterday that why the fences around the female marhala is so high. I don't understand. Yeah? It's almost like a fence to prevent people from escaping or from people from coming in. In an Islamic environment, you have that kind of a fence, it upsets me. In other words, we don't have that quality of trust. We are supposed to protect our women folks. That's the role of the men. But when we confine them into a prison-like sort of environment, either we don't trust ourselves or we don't trust them. These are fundamental issues, brothers and sisters, that we need to start to think about now, moving 35 years forward. I wish that fences could be dismantled, that we know we can live on the basis of trust alone without any fence at all, because the fence is within us, not outside. Fence like that pun di bawah tu, I think one of the mahalah ada lagi barbed wire di bawah. I mean, a non-Muslim comes in, will ask us, what is this all about? Are your boys going to dig down below the fence and move in? These are the questions that boggles me when I see all these things. And that's big six, the question that you ask me. Where is the trust? Di mana amanahnya? Kalau tidak ada lah dia. You can employ 1,000 orang macam ni. It will not work. Because I don't trust him either, and he doesn't trust me either. Rektor tak ada, main lah gini kita boleh mogok. We are going to start this anti-smoking campaign very soon. So the issue is very basic, but we have not gone to the basic of this. We talk about very lofty stuff, but we forgot what we are supposed to be. That is the learning to be that we talked about. Let's go back to the basics, and probably we find a solution much easier than we thought. Yeah? Any
Okay.
more? No more time?
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you very much. I think the discussion can go on. I hope it will go on, and we can have this as much as we want. Assalamu alaikum.
Alhamdulillah, thank you Tan Sri for taking the time to listen and respond to inquiries from the floor. Now I would like to invite the Director of OCAP and the Director of ITD, Dr. Harmi and Madam Masita, to accompany the Honorable Rector for the launching of IIUM mobile applications. Thank you, Dr. Harmi and Madam Masita.
Congratulations.
For the next event, I would like to invite Dato Abdul Rahim, the Executive Director, Management Services Division, and Tuan Shuko, the Director of Awesome, to join the Honorable Rector on stage to launch the IIUM Smoke-Free campaign. The purpose of the campaign is to promote awareness among IIUM staff in reducing the addiction of tobacco and making IIUM a smoke-free campus. The initiative to organize this campaign will encourage healthy lifestyle among IIUM staff. Tuan Shuko will hand over the giant cigarette to the Honorable Rector. Now I would like to invite Dato Abdul Rahim to present the Smoke-Free Campaign T-shirt to the Honorable Rector. To observe the campaign, The Honorable Rector will hand over 4 posters. The first to Dato Abdul Rahim as representative of staff. The first to Dato Abdul Rahim as representative of staff. The second poster to Professor A.R. Dr. Razak, Dean of Kaid, representative of the Kuliah. The third poster to Dr. Sufyan Hamad, representing the Mahalas. And the last poster to Brother Ahmad Irham bin Dola, President of Student Representative Council. A reminder to all, IIUM Smoke-Free campaign is applicable to all IIUM campuses. Thank you, Dato' Rahim and Tuan Syukur. Tan Sri would like to take a picture with our adorable children from Educare. Thank you again, Dato' Rahim and Tuan Syukur.
We launched this anti-smoking thing in anticipation of Ramadan. Ramadan is going to come very soon. We already stopped smoking for 16 hours. We hope we can continue to stop smoking forever. But the practice needs to be done now. Yeah? We will help you with quick clinic and whatever that needs to be done. We hope this university will be truly a tobacco smoke-free campus, and we will try to put one poster that says smoking is haram. We go beyond just the rules of the law, but we also take on what Islam tells us. Yeah? So I hope this is something that we can help one another. Smokers need help, perokok-perokok ini memerlukan bantuan apabila mereka berhenti. So let's help them. Let's make this a truly smoke-free. And this is part of maqasid. Yeah? Extending life, protecting life. And this is part of it that we are trying to do, inshallah. So thank you very much to Dato' Rahim and our friends from OSAM.
Ladies and gentlemen, the highlight of our ceremony today is the signing of the IIUM Roadmap 2019-2020. To realize the strategies of the IIUM Roadmap 2019-2020, several measures are being put into place. Among them is the implementation of IIUM flagships. These are projects that are unique, creative, and impactful that will drive IIUM to become the referral center at the national and global level. We will begin the signing with the University Management Committee. From Library, Chief Library, next is the Deans, Ahmad Ibrahim Kuliah of Laws, IIUM Academy of Graduate and Professional Studies, Center for Foundation Studies, Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance, Institute of Halal Research and Training, International Institute of Islamic Civilization and Malay World, Kuliah of Architecture and Environmental Design, Kuliah of Allied Health Sciences, Kuliah of Economics and Management Sciences, Kuliah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences, Kuliah of Engineering, Alright, next we will move on to the directors. Research Management Center, IIUM Medical Center, IIUM Academy of Graduate and Professional Studies, Office for Strategy and Institutional Change, Office of Knowledge for Change and Advancement, Academic Management and Admission Division, Center for Islamization, IIUM Press, Center for Professional Development, Center for Languages and Pre-University Academic Development, Alumni Relations Division, Office for Communication, Advocacy and Promotion for Change, Entrepreneurship Development Center, Office of International Affairs, International Institute for Muslim Unity, Sports Development Center, Campus Sustainability Center, Chief Medical Officer, IIUM Health and Wellness Center, Office of Security Management, IIUM Endowment Fund, Residential and Services Department, Counseling and Career Services Center, Office of Internal Audit, Information Technology Division, University Center for Community Engagement, Center for Arts and Cultural Sustainable Development, Occupational Safety, Health and Built Environment, Student Affairs and Development Division, and Management Services Division. Next, the principals of Mahala, Mahala Ali, Mahala Amina, Mahala Asia, Mahala Asma, Mahala Bilal, Mahala Farooq, Mahala Hafsah, Mahala Halimatus Sa'diah, Mahala Maryam, Mahala Nusaibah, Mahala Rugaya, Mahala Safiyah, Mahala Salahuddin Al-Ayubi, Mahala Siddiq, Mahala Sumayyah, Mahala Uthman, Mahala Zubir. And from Kuantan, Mahala Khalid Al-Walid, Mahala Fatimah Az-Zahara, Mahala Ummu Kauthum. From CFS Gambang, Mahala Maimunah, Mahala Talha, Mahala Al-Biruni, and from Pago, Mahala Zaid bin Harith. And next, the unions and associations, Academic Staff Association, Professional and Management Association, Kesatuan Kaki Tangan Sokongan 1 IIUM, Kesatuan Kaki Tangan AM, Puspanita, Students Representative Council. Last but not least, I would like to invite our Mantan, Professor Datuk Seri Dr. Syed Arabi Aidid, 4th Rector of IIUM. The signing of the consensus statement by the university management, deans, directors, principals, presidents of staff associations, and student leaders signifies unwavering commitment and support by the IIM community in the implementation of the IIUM roadmap towards realizing the true meaning of Rahmatan Lil Alamin. Thank you all.
Can I just read what has been signed? Ini a symbol that we are working together now, built hopefully on the culture of trust. And what it says here is basically, mana mic yang tak ada. Can I have the floating mic? Okay, what it here says, the consensus statement on the IIUM roadmap 2019-2020. Dia kata, we the undersigned stress our commitment to work together to make the best decision possible in materializing the IIUM roadmap 2019-2020 for the good of the university. We are guided by our shared beliefs, which are described in the university's vision and mission. We aspire to find solution that best meets everyone's need by striving for what is beneficial for humanity and preventing what is harmful. Our ability to reach consensus shall be based on truth, creativity, logic, respect, and love, and in accordance with the principle of Maqasid Sharia, the Falsafah Pendidikan Kebangsaan, the UNESCO 4 Pillars of Education for 21st Century, and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. We shall strive our best to avoid any conflict of interest and shall not be involved in any deception, coercion, lobbying, and malaise. Dated Friday, 26 March 2019. So that is a solemn undertaken on behalf of all of us, and I'd like to thank you. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you, Tan Sri. Before we continue, I would like to welcome our special guest today from Prolintas, Encik Muhammad Ramali Abu Bakar, General Manager, Corporate Communication Division from Prolintas. Ladies and gentlemen,
this book is available at the back of the room, I think Rosfa, yeah? And it costs you what? 15 ringgit only for today. Tomorrow about 30 ringgit. So we don't have money to distribute free of charge. If you want, you can have one. Otherwise, we'll put it online, inshallah, for all of us to read. And this is a summary of what I've just presented to you this morning. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tan Sri. Okay, next in our agenda, IIUM has launched a photo contest from 1st February 2019 to 22nd February, and we have received about 300 photos from over 100 participants. The theme of the contest was Gardens of IIUM. The prizes for this contest are sponsored by our generous Honorable Rector. Dr. Harmi will join the Honorable Rector on stage to give away the prizes. For consolation prizes, the winners are Ana Tajmina Basman, second winner for consolation prize, Azrin bin Zain. Sister Azrin bin Zain. Next, Suhaiza Salehuddin. Sister Suhaiza Salihuddin. And the last one for consolation prize, Muhammad Shafiq bin Hussein. And the top 3 winners. The third place winner will receive Ringgit Malaysia 200, and the winner is Rusni Chilong. The second place winner will receive RM 300, and the winner is Arif Irfan bin Ahmad Tarmizi. However, our brother Arif is not able to join. And the winner for the best photo contest 2000. Oh, okay. There's a representative. All right, thank you. And the winner for the Best Photo Contest 2019 brings home Ringgit Malaysia 500. And the winner is Arif Marasa. And everyone can see the winning picture at the back. Congratulations to all winners. And thank you again, Dr. Harmi. Distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, we are fully aware that the university, through the IIUM Endowment Fund, has been receiving funds from corporate organizations which is channeled to our needy and deserving students. Today, we are honored to welcome another corporate donor, Project Lintas Kota Holdings Sdn Bhd, or Pro Lintas, to present their contribution. With great pleasure, I would like to invite Yang Berbahagia Dato' Ahmad Zailan, the Executive Director of Finance Division, and Encik Muhammad Razif Mamat, the Director of IIUM Endowment Fund, to join the Honorable Rector to receive the mock check. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very honored to cordially invite Encik Muhammad Ramali Abu Bakar, General Manager, Corporate Communication Division, Pro Lintas, to present the mock check from Pro Lintas amounting to Ringgit Malaysia 101,416.73 cents. This corporate zakat contribution will be benefited by 39 asnaf among our graduating students for the settlement of tuition fees. On behalf of the recipients, we would like to thank Encik Muhammad Ramli Abu Bakar and Prolintas for the generous contribution, and may your organization be continuously prosperous. Jazakallah. On behalf of IIUM, the Honorable Rector would like to present a token of appreciation to Encik Muhammad Ramli Abu Bakar. Thank you, Tan Sri, Encik Muhammad Ramli, Datuk Zailan, and Encik Razif. May I invite you all to return to your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the end of the event. May I request all of you to stand? Let us now sing together the IIUM song, Leading the Way. And this time around, we will be led by Brother Muhammad Ikhwan Shah from Awesome.
Kita nyanyikan lagu IIUM song bersama-sama. Ada muzik. Let's lead the way, light in the future, share the wisdom through the spirit of Islam, revelation and reason. We shall excel, we shall prevail, merging faith and knowledge. We're the Khalifa, we will fulfill the amanah. Together we make the world a better place forever. Expand the culture of Iqra. IIUM is to realize the meaning of Rahmatan lil Alameen. Together we make the world a better place forever. Expand the culture of Iqra. IIUM is to realize the meaning of mercy to all the worlds, for all mankind.
Thank you, Brother Ikhwan. Thank you all. Please be seated. Honorable Tan Sri, brothers and sisters, I would now like to invite Ustaz Sharul Hisham from Sultan Haji Ahmad Shah Mosque to recite the dua.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وله الحمد في الآخرة وهو الحكيم الخبير. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم أنت ربنا لا إله إلا أنت، خلقتنا ونحن عبادك، ونحن على عهدك ووعدك ما استطعنا، نعوذ بك من شر ما صنعنا، نبوء لك بنعمتك علينا ونبوء بذنوبنا، فاغفر لنا فإنه لا يغفر الذنوب إلا أنت. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من الهم والحزن، ونعوذ بك من العجز والكسل، ونعوذ بك من الجبن والبخل، ونعوذ بك من غلبة الدين وقهر الرجال. Almighty Allah, Lord of mercy and beneficence, bless this Liqa Al Jamaie number 2, 2019 with your pleasure and mercy. O Allah, Lord of bounties and infinite, shower upon us your divine guidance, that our work and deeds be done in completeness and excellence. Assist us, O Allah, in fulfilling our obligation and seeking your pleasure. O Allah, bless our gathering here today and make us disperse in peace and in protection from sin. Allahumma inna nas'aluka ridhaka wal jannah wa na'udhu bika min sakhatika wal nar. Allahumma ij'al khayra a'malina akhiruh wa khayra a'malina khawatimuh wa khayra ayyamina yawma alqaq. Allahumma ighfir lana dhunubana wal ikhwanina alladhina sabaquna bil iman. ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. تقبل الله منا ومنكم.
Amin Ya Rabbal Alamin. Thank you, Ustaz. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Alhamdulillah, with that dua, we have come to the end of our program this morning. I would like to invite the Honorable Rector and the UMC to visit Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia booth at the ICC Banquet Hall. And to all staff, please collect the car and motorcycle stickers at the exit door. You are invited to listen to a talk on Quit Smoking by Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia in the main hall, as well as the sharing session on life hacks at the ICC foyer. Thank you all for coming. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.